Welcome to Open Tabs, everyone, our twice weekly Substack Live where we talk about the stories taking up space in our tabs, our feeds, and our brains. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Okay, we have some fun topics lined up for today, so just going to jump straight into it. So this is kind of exciting for me, at least, because I love Reddit. But Reddit is testing out a new way to watch and listen to the viral posts on their platform. So they're going to create a video Reddit experience. And this is largely inspired. I don't know if you guys get this on your all's feeds a lot, but the viral Reddit posts that people then rip off and will make TikToks, and even their entire podcasts dedicated to just reading viral Reddit posts. And this is Reddit trying to get a slice of that pie. So they've noticed all the Reddit content on TikTok specifically, the CEO called out. So they are going to create a text to speech feature where people can narrate their Reddit posts. And they're calling it a spoken Reddit format. So likening it to a podcast, but a very short one. I guess, a Reddit post. So I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on yet. I feel like Reddit was kind of the final holdout of social media. I know it's been debated, is Reddit a social media platform or not? But I feel like they were one of the last holdouts on video, and they have succumbed to it finally.
Yeah, I don't know if we needed native video on Reddit. I feel like part of the beauty of it was pulling from other places and embedding, and that it was so friendly with the other websites in that way because they're so anti each other that it was the one place where you could go and everything is linked. And the fact that they're doing native video, it's then they're going to start prioritizing that over other things and make it harder to link out because once they want to keep you on their platform, they make it difficult to leave their platform. So I think this represents a larger strategic shift that is super interesting. But I also think that it's going against one of Reddit's core value props, which is anonymity, because it's adding more signal and identifying features to your Reddit post in a way that I don't think is aligned with how people are using Reddit.
That is really interesting to hear that perspective, Megan. I mean, I think my my instinct on this is that when I think of Reddit, you know how we talk about other platforms and we're like, okay, Instagram is the photo. It's where photographers go, and how we'll liken Substack to, writers, right? This is the writing platform. Whether or not you agree with it, whatever, it's just how it's sort of formulated. When I think of Reddit, I think of it as the engagement platform. It's the discourse in the comments, and that's its primary feature. It's the conversation. And so on one hand, I not totally understanding the approach to video. I actually think if video can help some of the posts actually get distributed and out into the world more, I think that's interesting to me. I actually think of if there's a way to sort of record it with tone from, whoever is creating it, and it can go out, and then the idea it brings people back to Reddit to then further the discourse. To me, that feels interesting. But to your point, Megan, if the if the goal here is to yawn, follow the same thing that every other platform does, which is try to create video to then prioritize video to then keep people on Reddit, I don't know, that feels weird. But to me, again, I this has been interesting because it's you see other publications. I feel even People Magazine has taken stuff from Reddit, and it's well, this was a controversial thing that came up in Reddit. It's a headline you can see. So I think if there's a way to sort of, again, prioritize the discourse, the conversation, because that's the core to me with this, great. But if it, I don't know, yeah, why fundamentally change what is working with it? I don't know.
Yeah, to me, this feels like them taking a look at the Two Hot Takes podcast, which have you guys seen that one where it's a woman, and she usually has a co-host, and she talks through a Reddit's like, am I the asshole, or some sort of Reddit story, and then they discuss like who's in the right here, and they add their color commentary. That's why people are watching, for her like reading of it, the added commentary, then the like, let's go through and decide who's right and wrong and talk through both sides here. Like, that's the value of the content, not the video element. Like, that's the video is like the delivery mechanism, but the creator value add there is that editorialization and that contextualization and that commentary, that reaction, that simply adding a video feature to Reddit is not going to give it the same like the same like juice as you're getting on other platforms.
Yeah, and as a Redditor, I don't always love calling myself that. It's the truth.
Well, actually, okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
As a Redditor, are there Reddit creators? Like,
There are definitely like people who are known. There are like people, the moderators of subreddits.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, to me, it's always been like the moderator, the mods.
Yeah, the mods
of
of
subreddit.
specific communities on Reddit are like celebrities. They're literally like influencing the content that goes up on the subreddit. Then you also have like Reddit creators. We talked about, I want to say in January, the Chive guy who went like super viral on Reddit. And if you guys missed it, there is a very popular cooking Reddit, and it's supposed to be like, has both professional chefs and amateurs, and like they exchange information. Amateurs will ask the professional chefs questions. Chefs will ask each other for advice. And this one professional chef, I think, no, he was just a home cook, like an amateur home cook. He wanted to perfect his chive chopping skills. So for, I want to say at least 3 months, every day he would post a video of his, like the results of his chive chopping, and he's trying to get them as tiny as possible. And professional chefs would like rate him each day. And people would be like, oh my gosh, it's like 6 p.m. Eastern. He hasn't posted his chives yet. Where is he? And he would get tens and tens of thousands of upvotes, and eventually like Philadelphia cream cheese like started doing targeted ads, and like, but he was a celebrity as like or influencer on Reddit. Nobody knew who he was. We never even saw, I think maybe we saw his like part of his hand in one of his pictures, but like you knew his handle. Like you'll know people's handles.
But I was gonna ask, like, in general, people are anonymous.
Yeah, it's largely anonymous. I don't know anyone's faces on Reddit. I'll know like their usernames and their tags. And people like for profile pictures, it's always like a little animation. Like maybe there are people who use an actual picture of their face, but it's largely anonymous. And that's why you get these like crazy viral, like, am I the asshole posts, because it's anonymous and people feel comfortable confessing, sharing things that they wouldn't be comfortable doing on Instagram, for example. So
I guess what is coming to mind is like, is this like the next space for like the creators to sort of, you know what I mean? Like, is this going to be like, is it going to become that like even more, recently, obviously, Emma, you've been helping me with the Swell Club and like setting up, the Amazon storefront and how the storefront from the back end now, it's so interesting how it's so set up for creators and how it's like literally like almost making Amazon like a social platform as well. And it's just interesting. Like, is this now, it just makes me think of like, Megan, I'm like taking a note out of your book where it's like, and now the advertising starts because advertising against video is like, and then fill in the blank from there. So like, is that what's happening now, do we think?
It'll be interesting to see how advertisers, I think they said they're planning on releasing this in Q1 of next year. So I think that'll be interesting, like the video component of it. Obviously, you get like static ads on Reddit. But I feel like a lot of brand advertising on Reddit is like AMA style. So like users asking questions. Like brands will bring on their CMO or like somebody notable on their team or like an expert in a related field. So there's like value there. And it's always like it matches the tone of the platform a lot, which is like information exchange. And to your point, Melissa, engagement. So it will be interesting to see like how and when they like integrate, how they work that in with video. Yeah, that would be interesting to see because Redditors can get sticky and like about brands coming on the platform.
Yeah, another interesting component of this is like Reddit is kind of seen as like we were talking about where people can be honest about their opinions because it's anonymous. And a lot of the AIs are pulling from Reddit to like make decisions and crowdsource essentially based on all of the really well organized and moderated communities there. And a trend that I'm seeing, to my point about like the apps not playing nicely with each other, there is Amazon has changed their emails that they send to Google so that it doesn't show you what the products are easily, so that the Google AI cannot use your Amazon confirmation email to like pull that for data and like to help them make decisions about your customer profile. Basically, they're obscuring your receipt so that Google can't get the information about what you're purchasing on Amazon because they want to be the place where you go, the one-stop shopping destination. But that leads to just a shittier experience for the customer because now it's harder for you to search for your products in the email and it's harder for you to get the information you need. And so even this, I'm like, is this an attempt at obscuring data and written words in a way that is harder for other platforms to take? And then if they get everyone in the habit of voice to voice texting, that's something that they can, yes, transcribe, but then they can guard that transcription better than they could just like written text.
That's a really good point.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Me either. That's
I mean,
a really good point.
It also makes me think, like, I think where, I mean, that is fascinating. I think about it, the first word that comes to mind for me is distribution. Like, I just think about, like, how you could, like, again, just even audio-wise, you can, like, listen to all the Reddits, like, and just reaching more people and, like, grabbing more of their attention in different ways just because Reddit does require, like, such focus. Like, you have to really, like,
Yeah.
when and so is there a way to sort of get, like, so much of it, like, I don't know, it's so interesting. Like, I don't know, I'm just trying to, like, even wrap my head around it because, like, so much of what I love is, like, that experience of the upvote, downvote, and then going through the comments, and so, like, I wonder how this, and again, I think maybe with AI, there's a way to do it. Like, maybe you summarize it. Like, maybe there's, you could see some of these, like, some of the ones that I, like, you guys know I won't say it on here, but, like, there's some individuals who, like, I literally, like, every month will, like, just like, Google their name and Reddit, and then go to, like, some of the subreddits and be like, "What's the latest?" Like, that's where I get my news and stuff. Like, truly, like, some of the things that it's like we're all just interested in hyper niche internet topics. Um, I would listen to it in a podcast form. Like, if AI put it together and, like, it's like like the Spotify DJ, like,
I was gonna say, I
Do you
feel
guys
like
listen
I
to
could see us, like,
Substack?
opening. Sorry, what was that, Megan?
Do you listen to Substacks? Because that's a feature where you can like listen to people's Substacks.
I do
I
that
listen to a lot of
sometimes.
Substacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I should. I mean, I feel like I'm so, like, behind the times with my, like, podcast. I have, like, such small windows of time, to be honest with you, where I can listen, and most of the time, I just turn on the toast because, like, the emotion I wanna feel is, like, I wanna feel informed and I wanna giggle, and, like, that I know I can get that really quickly, so, like, that's
Yeah.
where I'm, like, scratching that itch. Um, and when I think of, like, listening to a Substack, I feel like it's gonna be, like, long, and I'm like, not that I don't like that, it's just very rare that I'm, like, in the car by myself for a length of time to, like, consume, and that's where I would do it.
No, that
Makes
makes
sense.
sense. It's like audio, it's a different vibe for you. Like what you would typically consume on Substack is not your audio vibe, it's your reading vibe.
Exactly, 100%, and if I'm gonna, like, read, I probably would. There's this other option. It's just like hasn't risen high enough in my like whatever in my like habit to do it. But you know what, by the way, the other day I was posting a note because I'm trying, by the way, on Substack Notes. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I am doing 90 days of a note every day. And now I'm almost halfway. I'm like, I think I hit 40. And did you notice in the prompt, if you write a note, it's like you can click on like prediction market?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Their
What did
partnership.
that put in there? Was that like, I know we've talked about prediction markets and stuff, but like, I don't know. Did we talk about it on?
I think we mentioned it because I think it broke right before we were hopping on, but Substack partnered with Polymarket.
Right.
And I think it's like they did it because there are so many current journalists who are on Substack. So there's a lot of like political writing on the platform. And Polymarket is like you can bet on anything, including
I
politics.
haven't seen any notes using it myself. Like I just saw it as like an option. And then there was also like a poll. Like, and again, this is specific in the note, like when you go to like draft a note. And so I don't know. I just was curious. Like, Megan, have you used it at all or seen it in this
I've
way?
I've seen it, but I have not used it.
Yeah.
I'm like allergic to the prediction market stuff. So I'm just like,
see, if
not
I
looking
was
at it.
integrating Polymarket with anything, I feel like it would be Reddit.
No, Reddit.
Very true.
I think of like Wall Street Bets, and I think of like, I don't know.
And Polymarket's all you can bet on anything. Like Reddit, literally, there's a community for anything under the sun. You think something's obscure, and then you go to Reddit and you're like, oh, 10,000 people are in this.
You also, though, had to think about like the different communities that exist on each platform. And like Substack is like the library. And so like if you're Polymarket, I feel like you want to go to the library and see how these nerds are going to do things because you know that's going to be like within the limits of respectability versus Reddit, which is like a frat house. And like who knows what they're going to do if you give them access to this technology and tell them to go crazy.
I know Reddit is
like going to the frat house. I don't know. I don't care what Substack has to do with the Polymarket. I want to see what Reddit does.
I think that'll be your next Google, Polymarket Reddit.
Yeah.
Oh okay, so we'll be watching.
Collab that needs to collab.
Yeah. Okay, second topic I wanted to chat with you guys about. MySpace is potentially making a comeback. So MySpace owners confirmed, I guess they're releasing a documentary, that they intend to relaunch the platform. No dates or details on when that will happen. But I guess this isn't the first time they've tried to bring the platform back. But they basically said they will keep trying to relaunch it until it actually happens. So like, they're like, if like over our dead bodies, will MySpace not make a comeback? And I feel like we don't necessarily need to deep this, but I wanted to get your all's thoughts. Like, I was a hair too young. So I like just missed the MySpace age and kind of just went straight into Facebook. But I'm curious if you guys had any thoughts on this.
Yeah, when you're like, you don't need to deep this. I was like, you're talking to two millennials who love the internet. Like, this was important to us. I was like young, like, but I had a MySpace. Like, I was probably too young to have one. And I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I was learning HTML so that I could make my backgrounds what I wanted to make them. I was obsessed with ranking my friends depending on how they treated me at school that day. I spent so much time on MySpace just like making it perfect and I loved it. And I don't care if it's coming back. I don't think I'll ever want to invest as much time and space and brain power into something like that again. I think it was a uniquely teen thing when I wanted to spend that much time doing that. And I don't know if they're going to like meet the moment of like what their grown-up consumer wants out of MySpace, because I think the idea that like there's this vast world wide web and you're going to create a space that's just yours is still compelling. But we have so many options for how you can do that now that it's like, why am I going to? Now you're just giving me homework that I have to come do it all over again on your platform when I've already been building for what we're getting on to like 20 years on Instagram, you know? So like I'm always like, I'm very cautious to say a new platform could take off because I'm just like, the market is so saturated. And like, if you are going to make a splash or if you are going to make a dent, it's going to be slowly over time and not like, we're back, join us, you know? But yeah, I'm curious what you think and your journey with MySpace, Melissa.
I mean, that's so funny. I think like I had a MySpace. It was so like bare bones, though. I like kind of participated on it. I think like Facebook is really the first social platform for me that like I did have AIM. I think that was like maybe like the first internet thing that was like community driven. That and like then my like cell phone that was like a Nokia like whatever. That was like my like intro into it. And then had a MySpace profile, but then Facebook is really what I think like I think it was the photo sharing like option of it that like lit everything up. Um I mean, I think that with anything that you launch, but very much so like internet things, you have to be adding value to people's lives and you have to be solving for something. So I think that like if I'm making like a pros and cons or like just pros and then challenges, maybe it's not cons, but like I think that like things that come to mind for me with MySpace, like I think one, like can people even log in? Can you access your MySpace anymore? Like if you had a
I
profile?
don't think so. I think like I've seen like floating around people who took like screenshots of like Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton's old MySpace accounts
Yeah.
um when they were like clubbing and Kim was Paris's assistant. And that's it, but I don't believe you can access the site, but I will fact check myself when we post
Yeah.
this if I am.
I mean, I think that like as Megan said, right? Like if you have already invested all this time and then it goes away, it feels like ephemeral. It doesn't feel like I'm really like building a foundation of anything. Um, Especially when there's all these other platforms that have come in. There's also like a whole thing about owned platforms as we've always talked about where it's like creating your Squarespace, which, a lot of these things are like integrated social media platforms now. So I think that like, it is very, very hard to break through. It would have to like, I think there's two ways to go about it. Like you could almost start it up, honestly, given nostalgia, analog and whatever. Like I think there's a version of it where it's almost like going back to an old internet sort of space and like that seems really interesting and compelling to me, like like simplifying, making it like a platform that maybe does behave how platforms used to and it's not like all about, this sick let's launch video and suck you in until your eyeballs roll out of your brain. Maybe there's a way to rethink the internet and like harken back to a time that was healthier for like, whatever. Or you come up with a completely new approach that is of the moment, of like, this is what people need. This is what's missing, and we are solving for this. And this is what we have that these other platforms don't have. Again, I feel like I'm in this mode and it's just come up on these like Substack lives where I do start to like boil platforms down and I'm like, okay, like, as I said earlier, Instagram, we are for photographers, Substack, we are for writers, Reddit, we are for discourse. Like, what would the MySpace be? Like, what do we stand for? Like, what are we about? Like, what are we for? And I think that, you know, in the pros, like they have like people know of them, like the name brand recognition. I think there are people who are like, who were on it and like loved it. Um, Also, is it like the platform for Gen X? Like maybe it's I don't know, like maybe or Gen I guess millennial. um, I don't know. So that's my
I feel
like.
like I feel like what you're saying though makes me think that it has more value as a meme brand than it does as an actual platform that like functions and does stuff. Like it's almost like you might make one, but like I don't know if you're gonna be. It's like a nostalgia play. You know what I mean? It's
Nostalgia.
like
Exactly. Yeah.
I. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be a place where you spend time.
And I think to your point, Megan, I think the people who used to be on, the millennials who had MySpace when they were in middle and high school now have careers and families and don't have time to code a MySpace page and rank their friends every day. I feel like a play that could work, but I feel like might be fickle, and like make a splash in the beginning, but I don't know how sustained it could be, is like the Gen Alphas and like young Gen Zs who yearn for early internet, a time they've never experienced, but like they see the old screenshots of things floating around and they hear millennials talk about MySpace, who yearn for like analog, but also want to be online at the same time. If it could be like a place for both needs to feel like they're being met within Gen Z. But
I
I
almost
feel like it might make a splash for like a week and hold their attention and then they could move on.
radical, but I almost think that they should capitalize, building off of what you're saying, this sparked an idea for me. They should capitalize on the millennial nostalgia and actually make it for Gen Alpha like kids and they're something for them to do with their parents. And like literally it's like, I'm not going to give you access to the whole internet, but let's create MySpace and like introduce it piecemeal. And because I think something that MySpace also like the larger kind of philosophy behind it was kind of like make the internet yours and like don't just accept the internet as it is, but try to like shape it how you would like to see it. And I feel like that could be a great platform for kids to like learn about media literacy and how technology works and like the fundamentals of coding and search. And like if they wanted to cater it to be kind of like a kid friendly, like use the nostalgia play to market to parents as like a kid friendly thing, that could be interesting.
And also maybe like teach kids the etiquette of being a person.
Yeah,
Because
1,000%.
I was trying, I like sat one of my younger cousins down because he was posting to Instagram and I was like, you can't, no, this like account could live with you for the rest of your life. You can't be acting like this. You're 13-year-old boy and like you're not, there's no foresight here. And I like literally gave him rules. And I was like, this is how you act online. And
Yeah,
it worked.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question? Even just stepping back for a second, how would you talk about like even the way we're talking about MySpace, like Tumblr comes to mind for me.
Mm.
And I just wonder, like, how do you guys view Tumblr in relation to MySpace and like comparative contrast? And like, would you bring Tumblr back? And if you did, how would
I
you
mean,
do it?
Tumblr never left. Tumblr's like a dead mall where it's like, it's still there if you want to go. And like, I do go sometimes and like,
You do.
yeah. And yeah, my issue is that like all the people who I used to follow or like the equity I had built up in the platform is kind of like a ghost town. So
Yeah.
I would have to do so much like rediscovery, refinding, all of this stuff that I just like don't feel like doing. So it's like a place where I'll go check things out and then move on because
Yeah.
there's like I'm there by myself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing there. It's like a museum. I can go look at stuff, but like it's a very solo experience. So I think for Tumblr to come back, I think we're gonna have another website era. I think if I had the time and space, like we're gonna go back to like remember when Beyonce, it was someone's birthday and she would change her website to be them. Like we're gonna go back to websites having a thing that makes you want to visit them every single day. Like that used to be a thing where I'm like, let me go see what they're doing. And I would like type in a website because they were always changing the homepage and I wanted to see what new was happening. So I think that era is coming as soon as people figure out like that's what needs to happen for us to continue investing in like websites and things like that.
Yeah.
in a way, but I don't think it's going to be so MySpace is relaunching. Like, I think people are going to decentralize. So the idea of another platform coming in and be like, let us be another conduit between you and your core consumer. I just am like, no, that's just not the value add people are looking for right now. It's just not the need people have.
It's funny to hear you say that, Megan. Well, first of all, I love the comparison of the Tumblr and like a dead mall. Like, that is hilarious. That actually is kind of what it feels like when you start a new platform too. Like, I feel like sometimes even, I mean, we've now been on Substack now for like 3 years or more. And at the beginning, it felt like, hi. And then it really is that early like discomfort that you have to like see it through, you know? And you know, so the thing is though, when I think I agree with you and I feel like Emma and I have definitely, I think we've all been in alignment, like owned platforms are going to like, but it feels like it hasn't happened yet. Like, I feel like we had that take like 2 years ago, you know? And it's just interesting to me. I agree with you. I'm just surprised it hasn't happened sooner. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, it's why Bezos is doing what he's doing and obscuring his data. Like, I think it is happening, but the people it's happening among are like not cool and interesting. So they're doing it in very tactical ways, like Bezos, where it's like, we own shopping and we're not going to cede any information that we don't have to anybody else because we want to own all of your shopping history, all of your shopping searches, all of your you may also like, we want to own that. So I think right now, the only people who can afford to be sticklers about their own platforms are the people who are massive. But like, I think we're going to get to a point where some people can't afford not to anymore. And I think it's coming. It's coming. And I told you to never give that up because I believed in it so much.
And I think it's like slowly happening. Like, I feel like a lot of times when I'll discover like an internet cool girl on TikTok, I'll click to her profile and I feel like now at least 50% of the time she has a Substack or like a newsletter or a blog now. And like, I feel like because people feel the need to like gatekeep again a little bit because copy like content thieves are, you know, running rampant. And I feel like they feel like they need to have some sort of a barrier now, even if it's just like the inconvenience of clicking on somebody's link in their profile.
Yeah. I wonder, I think where my mind goes to is just like, I mean, so much of, I feel like what disrupted the progress of like individuals creating websites were social platforms because they just overtake search. You know what I mean? Like, if you Google someone's name, like the first thing that's going to come up is like their Instagram profile. It's going to be their, you know, TikTok. It's like all of that. And so it's just what comes to mind for me. It's like, as search is now disrupted by AI, does that sort of change the game? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's like, what are the mechanisms of discoverability? Like, if you are making your own site, and like, how do you sort of get people, like, if the goal is to have traffic and people go there often, like, how do you sort of accomplish that? You know, I don't have the answer.
Well, I think this is a shift in what you're saying. I think like you talk about training the consumer, and I think that smart brands are going to start training the consumer to seek them out versus wait for them to come to them. Like, I think that the move is going to be more of like training someone and rewarding them for coming to you, visiting your website, and less sending out an email and being like, come see me, come see me, come see me, because that's a form of gatekeeping of like, we're going to just attract the people we want to attract, and we're not going to seek out anybody else. And then we're going to reward the people who we want coming to us to like reinforce that behavior in a more long-term way than immediate. It's kind of what we were talking about with Audrey of like, I'm able to get a message out to tons of people via flyers versus I have people who are checking to see for what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yes. I think a good example of that is something I experienced this morning. I am on the record as a huge Devin Lee Carlson fan.
Yes.
And I'm also a big
I love it.
on the record. She is like my ultimate cool girl, and does influence me, like legit.
I feel like you kind of look like her. Like you guys
That's
could
the
play
biggest
sisters in a
compliment you
movie.
can
Oh, I agree. I agree. Now that you say it, no. I am also a big Frankie's Bikini fan.
Yes.
Every weekend I'm at the beach. Their bikinis are expensive, but they're good quality, I will say. And I feel comfortable in the ocean with them, and like the Northeast Ocean, where
That's
I'm
saying
getting, like,
something.
knocked around, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and they released their collab this morning, and obviously I'm a fan of both of them. I am on the Frankie's Bikini email list, and because I was on their email list, I got early access to her collection with them. And that was just like me always being on the hunt for discounts, and I got rewarded. And it's like, as soon as it dropped, things like sold out immediately, you
Yeah.
know? So that was a little, my fandom paid off for me, and paid off for them because they got my money. But okay, I loved this conversation. Okay, this final topic, we definitely don't have to deep, and I feel like it's still kind of developing online. But I think it's interesting for us to chat about it, for a little bit. And this is the Open AI brand trip that just happened this past weekend. So, in case you missed it, OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, did their first ever influencer brand trip.